Going. Hello, everyone, and welcome to my monthly masterclass. Today, we are talking about using intuition to guide business decisions. It's really a merging of your inner wisdom with strategic action. And if you know who I am, and I suppose you do, or you wouldn't be here, my name's Camille Miller, and I am a soul strategist and intuitive mentor. I specialize in business reinvention, the scaling of your business or the creation of your business, but really in a way that's in alignment with who you are. So this is a huge topic for me. I am so glad. Um, and I believe that universe made it happen this month because we do these a year ahead of time and put them up. So I just thought it was so interesting that this was the topic this month, where next week we have Aligned by Design, which we'll talk to, which is all about bringing your intuition more forward in your business and everything else in your life. So we will talk about that as well. So I'd love to start off with what made you guys want to show up today to take this class? And do you think you really use your intuition in your business design? Anyone want to talk, or you can write in the chat, whatever works for you. I always like to know what made people show up. I think we all use intuition in our business. And if you're here in my world, you are likely very intuitive because you wouldn't be attracted to me if you weren't, right? Most of us, what I call the soul professional community, are like me. I'm introverts. I know there's always going to be an extrovert that says, I'm not. But we get our validation from the inside rather than the outside. That's what I look at as an introvert. And we're doing business differently, right? I always say a soul professional is someone who lives in a higher vibration, has an alternative approach to business, and is here to help repair the world. And I assume that's you, or you wouldn't be here. But intuition, in every single thing we do, in the soul professional world, I should say, is talk about intuition and how it shows up for you, how it feels in your body. If you're taking one of my business accelerators, we literally have homework about calling into your spirit guides and talking to your team that's around you, that's helping you build this business. So intuition is a really big part of it, but it shows up differently for all of us. And I think that's really, really important. It's about setting our intentions, right? About what are we looking to do or create. And from a place of strategy, when we talk about strategy, because that is what I do, I'm always looking as how does it feel in your body right now? Right? Does it feel like something you want to do? And knowing the difference of being scared or being excited, right? Because sometimes they feel the same in our bodies. But intuition is like if you have this sickening feeling of something is going to go very wrong, that's intuition, right? Is definitely a strategic advantage in business. And it has a lot to do with how you move forward, right? Some of the things that we like to do, some of the things that we don't like to do. I'm going to give an example of something that happened to me recently. With my business accelerator, I had the opportunity to present it to another community, and I do that sometimes as a white label. And I was working or in discussions. We weren't working together. We were in discussions about bringing it to this very large community, another continent, with about 10,000 women and teaching this, my business accelerator. It's a whole soulful way of designing a business, and we thought it would be great. And after our first conversation, I had this feeling that this might not be a good partnership. But when I heard the words, it sounded like it would be. It sounded like this huge opportunity for me to meet another community that I really wouldn't have had access to, right? And what it was going to look like. And I got to put the big proposal together. And every time I put it together, the person running the community would come back and say, I just don't see the uniqueness. I just don't see the uniqueness. And I felt like I couldn't be any more clear, right? I brought it back. I gave statistics. I showed examples and resources and all of these things, case studies that we've had. Like there was nothing more that I could do. And I sat back and I was like, I don't feel like this is in alignment because if it was, I wouldn't be convincing people to work with me, right? When people work with me, I always say, you're a hell yes, or I don't work with you, right? You have to really know that you're the right client for me. And I've learned along the way, and we can talk about that a little better. But this came up in this bigger scale. And I was like, wow, this could have so much potential. And when I sat with it, I realized it could also break me, right? Because when you make bad partnerships in life, right? Personal life, business life, so many things, it can literally break you. It can bring you under. And I chose to step away. I didn't even resubmit. I submitted the proposal twice, and then I just went, you know what? I think they're looking more for a plug and play, and that is not who I am. My whole brand is about being unique in the world, right? This isn't for me. I closed that door. Well, this is what actually happened. I wrote the email of saying this isn't a good fit, but I wish you really well, blah, blah, but I never hit send because there was a piece of me that was like, what if this is a huge opportunity? So I do that like sometimes I write things, but I won't hit send for another 24 hours just to make sure I've thought about it, right? Because you can't take it back. So it was in my inbox, in my like drafts, but I didn't send it. And I want to say it was the next day. It was at least within 48 hours. It might have been the next day, but it was at least within 48 hours. Ended up being introduced to this other gentleman that owned a media company and another community, an outward community here in the US, who got my work, got what I did, like totally just got me. And in the conversation, I was explaining about this other thing. And I knew in that moment that I had to hit send as soon as I got off this call because I had met my next partner in business, not in life, right? And I got off the call, hit send. And if you guys got my newsletter, we have just decided on a partnership with this company, and we are going ahead with this company. Um, so that was my story of intuition, and something didn't feel right. But when we close a door, usually a window will crack open for us, right? Because there's opportunities coming to us all the time. All the time. We just can't see them because we're kind of busy. Not kind of, we are. We're busy. We're just busy in our day, and all this stuff is coming. And when we decide that we're going to do something and we declare it to others, that is usually when more opportunity presents itself because all of a sudden we hear it, right? That's actually a brain. Our brain is here to support us, right? It's called the reticular activating system. It's like when you decide to buy a white car, then you see white cars all over the place, right? Or you say you want to read a book and then everyone's telling you about this book, that kind of thing. Because your brain is looking for the conversations and the validation to bring it back to you. That's how manifestation works. It's actually wired in our brains. It's actually a chemical reaction and things that happen in our body and in our brain. So intuition is actually a part of all of that. But many times we don't pay attention to it. We ignore it. We push it out. We're like, nah, right? But when we look back, maybe we can say, oh, I should have known better. Or I knew that wasn't a good idea, right? Has that ever happened to anybody? Me too. I mean, all of us, we all do that. And I'm an incredibly intuitive person, and I have a beautiful spirit team that works with me. But I haven't always been a very good listener. There are dings that I get that I absolutely have 100% knowing. I'm claircognizant. So I know things and I just know them. I know it's not from me. right? I just know things, and that's part of my intuition. Now, we all have different ways of being intuitive, but we are all intuitive, every single one of us, right? But we have to be tapped in, tuned on. What? Tapped in, turned on, tuned in. I don't know. Um, um, and we have to listen to what's coming at us. Many times I see that people create things from a place of scarcity. I don't have any money let now. Let me throw a program together and throw it out there. And then nobody signs up. And you're like, wow, why did nobody sign up? It's because it came from a place of scarcity, not from a place of abundance, right? Not like, let me throw this out there. Now I test things all of the time. I just do. I run betas all the time and I test things because they usually get better after I run them. But I do it from a place of learning. Like it may or may not work, and that's okay. My aligned by design that I'm doing next week is came from a place of I wanted to throw something out there, not from a place of scarcity, by the way. But I felt this deep calling to do more of the spiritual work above the strategy work, right? I always do strategy. I'm really good at strategy. But to really tap into the spiritual side of people and what they're feeling, their intuition, their soul side, what their soul is telling them to do. Yes, I get messages so that I'm pretty good at that. There are subconscious beliefs around things, especially money, right? Someone in another class, it might have been the master class last month, I forget. Someone had said, "Hey, you used to run a money boot camp. You want to bring that back?" And I had been getting this ding of, I should bring it back. I should bring it back. But there's a reason why I don't do it anymore. It is online. You can buy it online. But there's a reason why I don't do it live anymore because I found that people went through the program. They actually did get much better. We've had incredible results through it. But they didn't go forward into anything else that I did. So I felt it's more for who I used to serve, not where I'm going. So it is available online, but I don't teach it live anymore. So as I was thinking about it, I was, I can take this money piece though, and I can put it into aligned by design because a lot of that is subconscious beliefs. But it doesn't have to be the whole 8 week or 12-week course, right? It can be a piece of it because money blocks are for all of us, right? When I work with entrepreneurs, a lot of times we're working on earning ceilings, what our belief system is, our worth in our body, what we believe we are worth, right? That comes up with pricing too, right? When you're pricing something, you might feel like, oh, I really feel like I'm worth this, but people aren't going to pay that. So I'm just going to bring it down a little bit. And then a lot of times we feel frustrated because we know we're worth more money. And that shows up in our work, right? Because now we're not being paid what we think we're worth subconsciously. And there's this whole game that we're playing inside of us. And that shows up in our work. Does this make sense? Yeah, all things that we've gone through, right? Um, so we want to talk about if this is what I want you to do. I want you each to think about, you can close your eyes, but I want you to ask yourself, is there a part of your business or life that feels uncertain right now? And if so, are you ready to see it differently? Right? We probably all have a piece that feels uncertain. One of the things that has come up with a lot of my clients lately is there's been this paradigm shift happening, this change in the market. I feel it too. Things that used to work are no longer working. So the way we show up has to change. The beauty of my soul professional family is it's changing in our favor. It is changing in our favor. All those crazy funnels and shouting from mountaintops and fancy marketing really isn't working anymore. It's about connection and feeling each other's energy. That is what is working right now. So the question is, how do you get your energy out there? And I've talked about this before. I'm very good at video. That's why I do these videos. That's why I do master classes. It's really important for people to be in my energy. And I know that, right? You can't really put that on a marketing plan, but I know that's how people are attracted to me. They're usually introduced to me, we have a conversation, or they see me on one of these free things, or on YouTube, or on TikTok, or whatever it is, a podcast interview, and then they go then do their research. And because I attract introverts, they do it very, very quietly. So I have to give them opportunity to learn about me and who I am in the world, right? Quietly, on their own, right? That works for me and it works for them. And you guys in my audience have probably all done that as well, right? You've shown up and you've learned about me somewhere else, or you've heard about me somewhere else, and that's how you've got into the funnel, right? So for all of you, it works exactly the same way. It's your energy that people want. So when we're marketing, this is a little off of intuition, but we'll go back to that. When we're marketing, when people are learning about you, what they actually want is your energy. They want to be in your energy and be who you are. Does that make sense? So, really, what's coming out of their mouth is not as important as how they are showing up. So, you need to show up with who you are, right? Now, we're going to go over to intuition. What does that mean to show up authentically, right? Who am I? Who are you? And that's part of the stuff that we want to talk about when you're talking about building your business or your strategy or your intuition. It's how does it feel when I show up this way? Does it feel real? Right? If you've been following me for a while, you might see that I actually look very different than all of my photos that are still out there. So we're working on that because I'm letting my gray go in. This dark is my natural color, not the brown that I've been carrying around for the last, I don't know, 3 decades. And I realized that if my brand was being authentic, then I had to be authentic too. I have to show up that way. Kaz, I see you. Right? And it's a part of it. But I felt that I was not being authentic. It bothered me inside to show up this way and that energy other people feel. So I had to change. And that was part of my intuition going, when you're not authentic, how can you be asking other people to be authentic? Right? And then I show up and say, in ways in my world, how am I not showing up authentically? Right? And I have to think through that. Right? It could be in my life, could be in my relationships, could be in my business, could be in my marketing, could be in all of these ways. Right? But that is my brand. So when I'm not showing up authentically, that's a little bit of my intuition, little bell going off of that doesn't feel good. That doesn't really feel good. That's not who you are. Right? So if you're putting out marketing, sales pieces, posts out there, and it's not authentically who you are, you cannot attract who you are. Does that make sense? You can only attract who you are. So if you're putting out a different personality, you can attract it back. Does that make sense? Any questions, comments? Go ahead, Kaz. You have something?
Oh yeah, I always have
I love that.
something. I have to echo everything you're saying, and this is manifesting in spades for me, especially over the last few years, but the last 6 to 8 months. And
Mhm.
I was on a podcast as a guest yesterday, and the topic was self-acceptance.
Mm.
And I just made the conscious because I was in entertainment for years. So I lived behind a mask of characters. I didn't want anyone to know who I was personally because I'm not really sure that I did. I knew who I was. And that when I decided I need to know who this person is, that changed everything. And being authentic and, you don't like that I'm bigger than life. You know what? I can't care. I'm an extroverted introvert. I had to learn how to be extroverted because of what I did, but
Me too.
down in my core,
Yep.
I'm introverted. But people keep coming and saying the same things to me. I've got this podcast that you're going to be on, and I'm super excited about that. And it is really gaining steam because we are both who we are.
Yeah.
There's no facade, there's no subterfuge, and people seem to be drawn to that. I say what I say and feel what I feel and share what I share, and so does my partner. And the thing that keeps coming up is people saying, I love your energy. I love what you radiate. And the law of radiation for me, um, what you radiate first is what you attract. Instead of it's about attraction, you can't attract anything unless you radiate. And that is very
That is
big for
correct.
me. And
Yeah.
how are we radiating? What are we radiating? Are we even conscious of it? So, yeah, personally and professionally, intuition has been so important. And one thing you said professionally, recently I was love bombed by someone professionally. And I've had it happen before personally and professionally being love bombed.
Okay.
And those types of people are usually dealing with their own some narcissistic issues, and
Yep.
people like us attract narcissists and people with narcissistic personality disorder. But I've been there, done that before, so it took very little time for me to see that she was love bombing me. And that email, like you sent out, I had to send out. I sat on it for a little while and then I sent it out. And what I got back was so much guilt inducing. She just tried to guilt me and make me feel bad about myself and that she would go it alone and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, nope, not about me. Not about me. I'm not worried about it. So
Yeah.
beautiful topic and
Beautiful.
beautiful everything you're saying. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, the law, I don't know if it's called the law of vibration, but it's kind of radiation, you said. Um, which is what I leaned into before. People are attracted to your energy, hence your vibration, right? And you're attracted, vibrations meet, right? So when you put out a vibration, that's the vibration that's coming back to you, right? So when you're in a higher vibration, high vibration people come back to you, right? But if you're in that, say, scarcity mode or fear mode or, I'm not enough mode, whatever that is, that vibration is also being put out there and it is also attracting those same people back. Does that make sense? So if you're putting something out there and you don't think you're worthy, then those that are not worthy come to you. If you're in scarcity mode, those that don't have money come back to you and they say, well, I don't have the money to pay for your services, right? Because you've put out that vibration. So that's what's coming back to you. So, anyone else, intuition? I'd love to know your little pings that you've gotten, something that you followed. If you've read my article on Gus, which I can drop in there, I have to look for it, but I can drop in there again. It is all about how I met my spirit team when I was 7, and on how they've grown with me. Gus, which stands for God, Universe, Spirit. I didn't know that until recently, but he's been Gus because he told me his name when I was 7. Um, so he is my intuition. And someone wrote in here about the intuition and that sometimes it's clouded and it's hard. So, intuition, and I've learned this the hard way as well. Your intuition, your spirit team, knowing things, I'm claircognizant, happens in the quieter moments. It happens in the quiet moments. So if you are in stress or if you are burnt out, if you are rushing from one thing to the next thing to the next thing, there is no way that you can feel that tingle or hear the voice or however intuition hits you, right? It's when you take a walk and not have, I never take a walk with something in my ears so I can hear nature, right? And hear if something's going to come to me. It's driving, right? When I can drive, I can't drive in silence. I can listen to music or a book, but when I'm listening to a book, then I can't get intuitive hits. Do you see the difference? Because I'm concentrating on the book. But driving does that. A lot of people, that's why a lot of information comes to us when we shower. It's because we're letting ourselves down, and also the water tapping on on our heads is like a pressure point. So just having that water running through our body helps bring back our intuition. So a while back, I had to, like in the last year, while back, one of the things I had to start doing was having quieter mo mornings and sitting in silence. I am not a good silence person, by the way, and I really don't meditate in the traditional way that others meditate. But instead of fighting it, I just say, I just do it differently, and that's okay. I can do things differently. I can't call on Gus or my spirit team, but when I'm in session, it could be a class like this, or when I'm with a client, boom, 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 boom. And I think it's because I'm holding space for someone else. But if I'm just on my own, I can't be like, "Hey, answer this damn question for me." He won't come to me, right? But if I'm in session with somebody or if I'm listening intently, then I'll get the pings. And it's more confirmation. Like I think it's really interesting. My sister loves psychics. So I don't go to psychics because literally I'm told everything I need. Um, but like we could be in a room and the psychic could be like, "Oh, so and so's here." And I could be like, "There's nobody here right now." Or I can be like, "There's three people here right now." I do not have the ability to talk to them, by the way. But I have a knowing of yes, that's true, or no, that's not true. I just have this knowing. When someone's telling me a story, I know instantly if it's true or not true because I can feel the vibration, right? And sometimes it's a story they're telling themselves. So it's not like they're lying to me, but I do have that, or Gus will say, that's it. But I have to kind of dig a little bit to find out what that is, right? But so that a lot of that is my intuition. I'm just going to read the chat really fast. Uh, nice. I meditate when I swim in the mornings. When I used to swim, I used to do triathlons, and swimming, it was wild underwater. I have this thing with water, but being underwater, in my last house, I had a hot tub and I could float in it. It was like bigger, so I could float in it. So my ears were actually underwater, and it was like absolute silence to me. It's probably like one of those I don't know what they call them. They're like silent baths, or I don't think I can do that because being in the dark would freak me out like that. Being closed like that would freak me out. But yeah, that's when things sensory deprivation. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's it. Perfect. Yeah, so that would be it. All right, so I want to talk a little bit more about intuition. So I do want to stress that intuition is not guesswork. It is not an impulse. Okay, you should be able to put it down. Like when I wrote that email and I was able to step away, and then I had the confirmation from talking to someone else. That's like my confirmation that I was doing the right thing. I was able to send it, right? It was not guesswork. It did not come out of a place of frustration that someone didn't appreciate my work. It was not that. And just to make sure, I wait the 24 hours. So it is not guesswork. It is not impulsive intuition, right? What intuition is the language of alignment and subconscious clarity. Okay? Alignment. It feels good in your body. You know without a doubt that this is correct. Okay? Intuition, the science of intuition, is actually data processing beyond your logic, like knowing something in your body. So I do a lot of psyche work. If you're not familiar with that, it is a It's an energy psychology, but it's a way of looking at your subconscious beliefs. And in doing so, we test your body if you've ever done muscle testing before. And it's telling me, the whole process is telling me what your subconscious, your body believes, right? Because sometimes consciously we think something, but subconsciously our body's like, nah, that ain't true, right? Like, I could be a millionaire, and your body's going, no, you can't. Right? And that's how pain shows up on the body. That's how your body is actually a mirror of your subconscious. For years, I had a pain in my side. Doctors could not help. Like I went to everyone, and I'm pretty damn healthy. And I was like, something is wrong. Something is wrong. And I actually went to my one of my very best friends is into EFT tapping. And she's like, let me do a session on you. And what it was actually responsibility and tension being held in my body. So actually, even if that pain has been gone since she worked on me 3 years now, but it was also me understanding that it was responsibility. I have aging parents that was falling on me. I'm a single mom that was falling on me. We had financial, it was all of the responsibility of everybody else in my life that just brought me so much pain in my side. And from going through this, but now I know that the simplest little twinge means I have a responsibility. There's something that I don't want to do, right? I don't need to be responsible for whatever it is, right? It's more intuitive now because I know what that was. So all right, I want to talk about intuition has three languages. You either feel it, you hear it, or you know it. You feel it in your body, right? It feels good. I feel sick, right? A lot of times, stomach issues are from stress over responsibility, being burnt out. You hear it. Sometimes I can hear things, right? That's auditory, but and you know it, which is my strongest one, is just I have this unbelievable knowing. When the sole professional word came to me, that when I was working on my brand, this was 5 years ago, it came down like a download. When people talk about download, I just knew it and I immediately picked up the phone and called my trademark attorney. I just knew it. That was it. That's what I was supposed to know, right? That's just a knowing. So you feel it, you hear it, or you know it. Does anyone have a moment when they just knew something was right or wrong? And if you feel like talking, what did it actually feel like in your body? It could be right, it could be wrong. For many of us, we get sick to our stomach. I have a child that has back pain. And every time she has back pain, I understand. I was like, you're in stress. No, my back just hurts. No, I'll put money on it. You're under stress. Right? Shows up shoulders, headaches, migraines. That's all your body reacting to stress. Anyone ever have a moment when they absolutely knew something was right or something was wrong? Yeah, I see some heads going. Yeah. Anyone want to share? You don't have to. Okay. Kaz, you want to share or no?
Sure, why not? I mean, this is not this wasn't professional. This was I was in Vegas, and
Mm.
I usually don't bet. And I,
Okay.
for some reason, while I was getting ready to go out, I was just watching this professional, I don't know what you call him, gambler,
Yeah.
giving advice on playing the slots. Oh, so I'm just listening in the background. So I did exactly what he said, starting with the penny slots, betting max, winning nickel slot. And it just felt each time go here, go here, go here. And I won a lot of money.
Wow.
I won a jackpot. And it was just so absolutely confident. I knew exactly where to go, what machine, when, how much to bet. And then I hung it up. I've never done it again, but I've never wanted to do it again. But yeah, that was that. This is absolutely going to work out, no doubt in my mind, and it is showing itself all along the little journey. It was
Beautiful.
really wild, really wild.
That's pretty incredible. I like that. I like that. All right, I just wanted to look really quick for this. The article I wrote on Gus. I can't find it right now. I will drop it though um before the end of this. So I want to also talk about what intuition um and when intuition and logic collide, right? And some common examples. So I know a lot of people are like, I don't know if it's my intuition or if it's my logical side. Like, I'm just not sure. And that happens to a lot of us. It happens to me as well, where I'm just not sure. And am I over analyzing this? When you have to think and think and think and think and think and think and think, and you're over analyzing, right? That's usually where your logic is overriding your intuition, what you know to be true, right? You're trying to logic your way out of it. Like, that just doesn't make sense to me. Why would I do this? Or other people don't do it that way. Or a coach told me that this is the way it's done, right? That's your logic, not your intuition, right? When you're following norms of everybody else, that's logic. You can say, but I know this works for me better. Do that. That's your intuition. When you say, I know this works for other people, but this is what works for me, that's your intuition. Do you see the difference? All right, I'm just popping in the chat real quick. You guys can read that later. It's about me understanding my intuition. Um and people pleasing. Another one is when people are asking for this, and this comes up with clients too. Sometimes clients ask you for things that is not what you do, not what your program is, or they really cross boundaries, right? That is logic, not intuition, right? Your intuition is likely telling you, don't take on this client. It's not worth it. But you're like, I really need the money, right? That's logic, not intuition. It will teach you something, right? So there is a lesson, no matter which way you go, there is always a lesson. But that is logic, not intuition. And ignoring any red flags, right? And this comes up a lot in boundaries, right? Having clients that either aren't showing up or I don't know, or bothering you all the time or calling you after hours or right? That also people pleasing, but those are red flags. And people that do things before they come on as clients will continue to do them, right? Red flag. All right. The cost of misalignment is stress, stagnation, burnout, usually loss of money, self-sabotage, all things, right? When you're forcing results instead of flowing towards them, that is not in alignment with you, right? That's alignment, intuition, those go together, right? They're not in alignment if you're forcing results instead of allowing them to flow to you. All right, so what else? We want to talk a little bit about the soul professional method because this is my own method of doing things. It is understanding the three layers of alignment. The first one is soul, the essence of who you are and what you are called to do, right? A big part of my work when I work with anyone is getting down to that piece, right? What is your soul's calling? What are you being called to do? Right? You could be like, I just want to help people. I want to be a teacher. Like, I know for me, it's being a teacher. It is not being a teacher in a classroom because I've tried that. It does not feel good. But I love teaching. I love doing this. And I love groups more than I love one-on-one. right? But I do love the strategy of one-on-one. I do love watching the transformation of one-on-one clients. So I tend to only have two or three at a time ever because that's what I like. Could I have a real successful practice having more? Probably, but I know it's not in alignment with who I am. What I like are small cohorts. What I like is the smaller groups. That's what I love. That's where I see exponential results in my work and in the people that are in my classes and doing stuff, right? That's my superpower. Subconscious, three layers of alignment, soul, subconscious, strategy, right? Subconscious is the hidden programming that either supports you or it sabotages you, right? What is your belief system? Is it around money, worth, self-confidence, trust, relationships? Sometimes it comes from parents, right? There's a lot of hidden subconscious programming that we usually have to filter through so we can change your belief system and literally change the cells in your body because that creates from thought, right? And the last one is strategy, the structure that allows your soul to work and to thrive in alignment. That's the soul professional method. Soul, subconscious, strategy, three layers, right? Because when you have all of those in alignment, that's when your business decisions feel absolutely effortless. They magnetize, they're clear, right? When they don't, you experience confusion, overthinking, scarcity, right? And then you can say, I'm out of alignment, or maybe I'm not really working within my purpose, or I thought this was my purpose, but we do what's called mission creeping, right? A lot of nonprofits do that, and that's my background is not for profit work. I call it mission creeping. Like they had a mission, but then a donor wanted this other thing, and they went way over here to get that donation, but it brought them off of their mission. Mission creeping, right? A lot of us, especially in the healing world, mission creep. If I can get one more certification, or if I could just add this one thing in, instead of staying laser focused in your greatest good, your highest good, your excellence, your genius, that's where you want to stick to, right? You want to be in your genius all the time, right? Because that's what lights you up. That's what brings you joy when you're working in your genius, right? When I'm working in small groups and cohorts and blending all of this, that's my genius because I can see it immediately and be like, "Oh, I know what that is." Right? Let's just fix that up, right? I like to tweak, I like to see what comes out. You all have a genius, and it's probably a lot narrower than you think. Narrow is good right now, right? Because if you're really good at one thing, that's your differentiator, right? And you have to feel that in your body, right? And I want you just to ask yourself, and you could put it in the chat if you want. If you were to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 on how aligned you feel in your business right now, what would that be? From a scale of 1 to 10. I don't think anyone's ever, well, I shouldn't say that. That's a perfect 10, because there's always more, right? But it's knowing what this imbalance feels like and what harmony could look like when all of these three things are balanced, right? Your soul's purpose, your subconscious programming, and then the strategy and structure that bring that all together. All right, let me just look. All right, we got some sevens. Good. Five, getting clear and balanced. Number seven. Seven's really good. Six, okay. More than halfway there for most of you. Perfect. And that's okay. There's a lot to be said for recognizing it, right? When you recognize that you're out of balance a little bit, you know what to work on, right? And it always takes the inner work. I say the inner work is what creates our outer success. So we just have to work on it a little bit more, right? Working on changes is perfect. All right. What else do I have? I'm looking at my um Practicing your intuitive decision making. All right, let's talk about that a little bit. So there's three practical tools that you can use to strengthen your intuition, and the first one is called the body compass. And you're asking, does this expand or contract me, right? Does it add to my life? Does it take away from my life? You might think this is funny, but I do this in dating. Every time I meet someone, even a friend, I'd be like, do they add to my life or do they take away from my life? Right? Every business decision you make, does it add to your life? Does it take away from your life? Because it's always doing one or the other. If it's neutral, do you really want neutral? Because that's not really adding to your life. Neutral is not adding to your life. Does that make sense? So you want something that adds to your life. So the first practical tool is called the body compass. Does this expand me or does it contract me? The second one is called the soul conversation, and you can free write about this. What wants to be created through me right now is the question that you would ask yourself. What is my soul asking for me to do? And that's actually a great free writing exercise. You can probably do that after this. But what does your soul need from you right now? What is it feeling? Right? For me, it's, testing my new program, which is called Align by Design, right? It's testing it. It might work, might not work, but what it will do is show me what's working and what's not working and why. Does it feel good while I'm teaching it? Is this the direction I want to go? Right? It's testing things in an open and curious way. So I talk about being a curious explorer a lot, right? Just be curious on what's happening. So, what does your soul want to create through you right now? And be kind and make sure it's not from a place of logic. All right. That's what you have to be really careful. Make sure it's not logic. And the third tool is called the alignment pause. When faced with a decision, stop, breathe through it, and ask if this feels true and authentic to who you are. Is this me? And I think this also plays out in the body compass one, right? Does it expand or extract? But what is it? Does it feel true right now? Which is like what I talked about with the email, right? I'm just pausing. Over the summer, I took a huge pause. I felt things slowing down. And I said, I can fight this, I can resist it, I can create new things, or I can choose not to resist and just go inward for the summer. And that's what I chose for 2 months not to create anything to see what I felt like doing at the end of those 2 months. Right. I became more dedicated and passionate about what I'm doing. It also made me lean into this more soulful side, which I think something will blossom out of all of this. But whatever it is, I'm here to figure it out. But I needed to pause to be able to recognize it. Does that make sense? I had to pause. All right. Any questions? What have we got? 10 more minutes, 8 more minutes. Any questions, concerns, thoughts, things I can answer for you? No, everyone's good. I
Yeah,
guess.
Camille, thank you
Go
so
ahead.
much. I really appreciate hearing you talking about slowing down because there's always something going on in the brain anyway, even if you don't
Yes.
have headphones on. So, or we're intentionally putting things in the brain. So I really appreciate that information. And I think that might be what it is because whenever I've got what I would call an intuitive hit, it's very, very clear. It's usually auditory, it's words. And
Hmm.
I always question that because like the universe doesn't speak English. So I always wondered about that. But to me, what I would call a download, it just comes in so clear. It's just like, this is not you. This is not yours.
That's
Stop.
good.
Yeah. So, yeah, thank you for the reminder. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. And if I have any empaths in the room, sometime I am not an empath. I have a child who's an empath. Sometimes you're feeling feelings that aren't yours. I don't have that, but I do know people in my life that do have that. And sometimes you have to stop and say, is this coming from me? Is this mine that I'm feeling right now? Or am I taking on this from somebody else? All right. So, what we've touched on today is just the beginning of what happens when you align your soul, your subconscious, your strategy. Hopefully, it stirred up something in you and you felt some clarity, calm, curiosity about what's possible. I want to just let you guys know, I'm going to put it here in the chat. Next Wednesday at 2 p.m., I am doing a free kickoff call. So it's free just like this call. And it's the activation call to my Align by Design. The free call is free. And then there's a 6 week paid section after that. And that is all about bringing these three things together for all of us, right? About the soul, the subconscious, and the strategy, about pulling together what is your soul really asking for you to do. The kickoff call is I think I made it an hour. It's a 60-minute call. It is free. I may record it. And I encourage you, if this sounds like something that's interesting, to come join us. If you want to join me for the 6 weeks, we do have a couple people signed up already, so we are absolutely going through with it at this point. And most of my cohorts become really close. It's very inexpensive because it's in beta. And we're going to really explore our uniqueness in the world and how are we bringing it forward in a way that feels good with our soul. And it's all about alignment. So we have that coming up. And like, let me see, what else do I have for you? I used to have this little whiteboard. Let me see what I have. Which talks about if you wanted to, see if this works. Here. Okay, there's ways to work with me. This is an old one. You can do, and a couple people have already done it that are here, a Psyche reset session, which is talking about your strategy and your subconscious needs and wants. And you can do that right on my website. And that is easy. It is personal. It is just for you. I also have the self-paced classes. Corporate to calling is probably one of my biggest sellers. Corporate to calling, by the way, if you sign up for Aligned by Design before the kickoff call, you get that class for free. So that is a part of it. All right. That is all I got. Do I have any questions before we end the class? Any questions? Was this helpful? Yeah? How many of you are intuitive? You all are. Put all of your hands up. There you go. You are all intuitive or you wouldn't be here. You might just have to work the muscle a little bit, and that's all it is. It's really just tuning in and listening a little bit and not being frustrated with it, just trusting what's coming towards you. Um, and you'll get better and better at it. I'm still working at it too, so I have not mastered it all. I just get a little bit better each day by working on it and staying a little quiet. So thank you guys again for being a part of my masterclass. Remember, you can come here live the third Thursday of every single month. But next month in November, it's actually, oh wait, it's on the third one next month. It's usually the fourth because of Thanksgiving. Here in the United States, it will be on the third Thursday next month. But hopefully, I will see you and think about coming to Aligned by Design next week. That should be a real fun one. I'm excited to work with that small cohort and see what we can discover together. All right, everyone. That's all I got. Thank you for being a part of this. We'll see you all soon.